That's an ad released today by Rudy Giuliani's campaign, one day before the make or break Florida primary. Giuliani capitalizing on a growing fight in Florida over who's the most liberal. Romney and McCain smearing each other with that term today. But for Rudy Giuliani, this has the feel of a last stand. Last month's mighty 18 percentage point lead in the polls has been eliminated, and Giuliani now trails John McCain and Mitt Romney by a full 12 percentage points. But as always, we want to know how the candidates will make you money. And America's mayor has a bold economic plan crafted by a Wall Street heavyweight named David Malpass that merits that attention. And he joins Happy Hour now. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Cody.
Thanks for being here.
Sure.
All right. So, first of all, we've been talking on the show about Giuliani's strategy to bypass basically every other primary caucus and so forth and focus solely on Florida. Is that going to work?
It still might. The polls are not known for accuracy in trying to pick who's going to win. So there'll be voters tomorrow. Plus, they've had a lot of mail-in votes, and so those will be counted. So we'll see. We don't have to keep going over it. What he's doing last week, is talking with a lot of enthusiasm to some big crowds in Florida. So the message seems to work. So we've got to see if it does in the actual voting booths.
One of the things that got me most excited about the Giuliani platform, as I read through a lot of the economic thoughts that you had and are putting out there on this, is that you're talking about if the administration, even today, and the Fed perhaps, could start talking and get aggressive about wanting a strong dollar. What would that do for our economy? I've been talking so much about the Fed's endless trashing of the dollar. What would that do that would sort of repair some of the economic imbalances that you're looking at?
There's a huge amount of money in the world. That's the accumulated profit of lots of decades of people's work, but not too much of it wants to be in the dollar right now because they keep losing money. As the dollar weakens, then it pushes money away from the U.S. So one way to help with the current liquidity squeeze that's on is to have the dollar strengthen. That brings the money back to the U.S. We've seen that for other countries. When they have a stronger currency, money flows in. Europe has been doing that this decade, and the U.S. could be doing that, I think, with a change of message from the executive branch, and also from the Fed.
And a lot of what you're saying there, though, is that it's them just doing things without actually changing policy per se, but more sort of a reflexive type thing where you're getting the public to respond.
Right. It doesn't cost money. It's a popularity thing. Why is the dollar weak now? Well, because we keep saying that we're going to cut interest rates more than anybody else, pay people less for holding dollars than anybody, practically anyone in the world. Well, that's not the right message. We should be saying we want a strong dollar as part of a strong economy, and that would increase the liquidity in dollar terms.
And David, what do you think is resonating with the voters out there in Florida for Giuliani? Is it his plan to make filing taxes simpler? Is it, it seems like he's just recently focused on more economic issues when before he was, America's mayor after 9/11, very strong war against terror, and now he's shifting that a bit.
He's really strong on the economy. It wasn't the primary message earlier in the campaign. He's making that more and more of the message now. He's always had a really strong economic plan. It was several of his early commitments. He did 12 commitments, many of which were economic oriented, and so it's been a little slow to focus on that message, but he's been doing that. So the critical is a big tax cut, because that gets growth and jobs and capital going in the U.S. Innovation is very sensitive to what the tax rates are. So he wants to cut not only the income, maintain the Bush tax cuts, but also have a capital gains tax cut down to 10%. A lot of other countries have 0% on capital gains, and it causes people to make more investments. So that's one of the things he's focused on, plus a short form for the income tax, so we can get away from some of this complexity that's in the tax code.
Complexity is a bad thing, right? Why doesn't he actually just scrap it like some of the other candidates are talking about and actually simplifying things and make it a sales tax or something that's actually radical enough to make a difference?
He does drastically simplify it, but he's not in favor of this consumption tax that some people are talking about. That ends up, for most countries, being an add-on tax, meaning you have the income tax, plus you end up with a federal consumption tax. That's not the right way to go from a growth standpoint. So his full message is how to get growth and recovery quickest and most powerfully.
And David, why did you decide to back Giuliani? I mean, you have a great business background, very well known on Wall Street, you know, great credentials. Why Giuliani?
As I look for who's got the best chance with the experience to create change, he did it in New York. He's got the right plan. So, for example, on the capital gains cut, this is a powerful thing to say, and it differentiates him from the other candidates.
We've got 10 seconds. A Colorado college grad. I want to know feet to fire. Dollar will be 20% higher this time next year or 20% lower this time next year?
I think with the Fed cutting, we can look for it to weaken unless a president comes out and says they want it stronger.
And what are the odds that happens?
Well, let's see how the election goes.
All right.
It could happen.
Excellent.
Yeah, we got a whole year to worry about. Thanks, David.
David, thank you so much for being here today.
On tap next, another penthouse.